Good evening, everybody, and welcome into the Friday Night Football Blitz here on a Tuesday. So it's the Football Blitz here on a Tuesday with George Howanitz and John Mendola, and we appreciate everybody joining us. And Coach, welcome in. A couple days to kind of soak in what happened. Looks like you got a little bit of sun over the weekend.
Well, finally we got the sun back out again, right? It was freezing for a couple days, but I'm soaking in my last couple pool days.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, we got a lot to look forward to, but when we look back on what happened on Friday night, we got to talk with, Carl Major and, some of our other coaches, Greg Dolan. We had some fun talking to some of those coaches. I think there were some interesting games, and we had a couple of games on Saturday.
Yeah, they had, some of the games surprised me. You're not sure what to expect. We said this even on Friday, week one, game one or game zero, as they call it now. But some surprises. I thought, a team like Mid-Valley, we weren't really sure how they were going to be, put on a pretty good display. And obviously Prep playing really well against Valley View, probably better than I thought they would play as well. And even your school, Wilkes-Barre area, I thought with, the Whitehall game is huge for them. So, we saw some teams we had, maybe had some question marks about, and, they came to play, it's going to make the season pretty interesting.
Now, Delaware Valley went down to Florida, and now they're going to come off of that and go take on Jersey Shore. That's a hard one to gauge as to, I think we heard the team in Florida was going to be a pretty good football team.
Yeah, Keith thought that when we talked to him last week, right? I mean, he's, he said he had some D1 kids on that team. This is why, even like I do some of those polls and things, and if a team goes 0-1, it doesn't mean that they're a bad football team. Maybe they played, a really good football team in that week one or as that week one opponent. So Delaware Valley always starts the year. We talked about this last year or last week. Last year, I think they started a year before they started 0-3. And the three teams they played ended up making like the state semifinals, I think, in their classification. So they're not playing any slouch teams to start the year by any stretch. So you could definitely see them starting 0-2, 0-3, and then, run through the Lackawanna Conference and kind of pick their way through. So, a lot of things can change in the next couple of weeks.
Nice to see Holy Cross get a win on a Saturday at home. Good for that program.
Yeah, I just think any teams when they're struggling to keep a football team together, if they can go out and get some wins, they're playing Montrose, or not, who are they playing this week? Lakeland this week, which will be a pretty good test for them. But, to go out, field a team. There's been years when they've had a forfeit because they didn't have enough people to, kids to put on a field. So anything you can do to keep football going, to me, is always a plus. And a win obviously makes it that much better.
And then on Saturday, Western Wayne took care of Susquehanna. I don't think there's much of a surprise there. But the Wildcats, they're hopeful to be a good football team this year. I think they will be.
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of the better games of the week. Western Wayne plays Trail, which will be two, small school powerhouses kind of going at it early in the year. And you might see 10 total passes that whole game. It's going to be, hand the ball off in the I formation for Western Wayne and wing T for Lackawanna Trail. But that's a real interesting game to kind of set the trend, I think, for the rest of the year in the small school brackets.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all the upcoming games here in a couple of moments. We got a good show coming up for you today here on a Tuesday in the Football Blitz. Jimmy Terwilliger, the head football coach at East Stroudsburg University. Luke Kopetchny, the wide receiver from Wyoming area, had like 250 or 60 yards. His dad was a Warrior. It is the night of the Warriors. So we'll take a quick time out. Coach Howanitz and I will be right back here on the Football Blitz. The Football Blitz is brought to you by Battaglia Sporting Goods, your hometown sporting goods store since 1975. Contact us for your team sports needs, including all kinds of sports equipment, as well as screen printing and embroidery. We carry most major brands like Under Armour and Adidas. Moon Rooster LLC, the leading digital agency in Northeast PA. Moon Rooster builds custom websites and software, runs targeted ad campaigns, and manages social media to drive traffic and boost your revenue. Let them handle the tech so you can focus on what you love. Visit moonrooster.com to get started. Mesco Glass, since the founding of our family business in 1930, Mesco Glass has served Northeast Pennsylvania as the area's leading full-service glass company. In those 94 years, we've expanded to 5 locations. Mesco knows glass, auto, home, and commercial. That's what we've done for 94 years. Call Mesco, 1-800-982-4055. Physical Therapy Associates of Northeastern Pennsylvania, your go-to top-notch care with 3 convenient locations in Old Forge, Hamlin, and Archbald. These pros deliver skilled one-on-one sessions to help you get back in the game faster. Ready to bounce back strong? Give Physical Therapy Associates a call. 570-209-9800. That's Enough Out of You is a weekly podcast hosted by Sean Kane, a Valley View graduate, and Bill Rader, an Abington Heights graduate, whose wife teaches in the Valley View School District. The free podcast explores important historical events and significant figures in history. They're joined by prominent researchers and authors in the areas of JFK's presidency and the assassination, RFK, the war in Vietnam, and many other events of the 20th century. They also talk about sports, pop culture, and occasionally politics. Check out That's Enough Out of You on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, or go to that'senoughoutofyou.com for more information. All right, we are back here on the Football Blitz, a Tuesday edition here. George Howanitz and myself, and we'll be back on Friday night about 10 o'clock or so. And Coach Howanitz, we look at the games coming up for this weekend. We're excited about, seeing what these games have to offer. I think, one of the first ones we want to talk about is probably Wilkes-Barre at Stroudsburg. The Wolfpack, you mentioned them. They're coming off that big win, but they're a little worried. Stroudsburg's a good football team. I think this will be a TV game, and it should be a good one in the Poconos.
Yeah, this is a huge test for them. I think we're going to see, again, Wilkes-Barre I thought was one of the teams that were, coming in with a little bit of a question mark. Thought they had a lot of good skill kids, and we talked on Friday to their quarterback and found some skill kids we hadn't even kind of known about, right? When we were talking about Friday, I think you even mentioned some of the receivers. You were kind of surprised they caught so many passes between them. But listen, anytime you have a quarterback that can throw for 300 yards in a high school game, that gets you in a really good position to win a lot of games. So I'm interested to see how they'll do against Stroudsburg. But again, it's tough to defend pass in high school, and you don't see it a lot. And I think they'll have they'll do pretty well against Stroudsburg this weekend.
Shamokin will take on Lake Lehman. Now, Shamokin has some huge offensive linemen, from what I understand. They took care of Pottsville pretty handily. Hey, Lehman found a way to win on the road at Crispin Field. They'll be at home, but I think they'll have their hands full here with the Indians. It should be interesting to see if Lake Lehman can hang out and hold up against the size of Shamokin.
Shamokin's been good for a long time. I mean, even my last 5 or 6 years coaching, they were always that team that came out of the other side of the bracket. So always big, physical. The only thing I give, a little bit of an edge to with Lake Lehman is running that wing T. It's a tough thing to defend if you don't see it a lot. So, it sets up some blocking angles, and they're like Lackawanna Trail. He's been running it for so long, and then he has some offshoots off of that he does. But it's a tough thing to get ready for in a week if you haven't seen it, and that sometimes is a pretty good equalizer.
Boy, Mid-Valley showed up at home against Pittston. They're going to have Berwick now in town, and the Bulldogs probably a little bit of a bigger school in that sense, but Pittston's a bigger school than even Berwick. But can Mid-Valley hang in there? They didn't give up a point. It's
an interesting game, and another one of those interesting ones because Mid-Valley, very athletic. I said that on Friday. They got a lot of good track athletes that are playing football now. Seasoned quarterback, head coach's son is the quarterback. So again, I think that's a positive in a lot of things. They played great defense last week. And but again, you're playing Berwick. So my question is all the time, and I said this to you early on, it's that aura of Berwick. Is it something that's going to be carried with them where you're kind of kids are a little nervous just thinking it's Berwick, or is the kind of the aura died down a little bit, and Mid-Valley is going to do what they do and have a good chance to beat Berwick this week.
Delaware Valley, Jersey Shore, we mentioned that one. I mean, what the Bulldogs were able to do down 21-7 and come back to beat Dallas at home 28-21. And Coach Gavish just he has it going and has his kids believing.
Yeah, I think that's what you're saying is exactly right. They win so many games now over the last X amount of years, making it to the state finals and semifinals and all the games under their belt that they probably feel they can be in any game pretty much at any time, and whether they're up, down, or tied going into any part of the game. So, and Delaware Valley would be exactly the same way. So, seasoned quarterback again, some kids coming back in the line for Delaware Valley, coming back from Florida. You're not going to see that same speed from Jersey Shore that you probably saw down in Florida. So the game might go a little slower and might be a little different result now for Delaware Valley this week.
Old Forge and Dunmore. Old Forge coming off a monster 1-point squeaker against West Grant. Dunmore, they weren't able to put it together against Riverside. This is probably a coin flipper.
Yeah, I think Dunmore's young, and he knows that. I think he's come out and said it a couple of times. But Old Forge seasoned, right? A lot of guys have played the last couple of years young. Now they're a little bit older, year or two older. So I'd expect, to me at least, I think Old Forge has a really good chance of winning this game, and what they're able to do and how well they played defensively last week. Will be big for them.
Crestwood Valley View. I mean, Crestwood hung with Wyoming Area, who I think is a very good football team, but I think Crestwood's a quality team too. But Valley View, I think they're at home, and they have to kind of lick their wounds a little bit here and try to bounce back.
Yeah, flip this coin again too. For this will be another. We said they don't have an easy schedule. Obviously, both teams really don't have an easy schedule to start. But Crestwood, you got to stop their quarterback. Shedlock is excellent. 100-meter champion speed if he gets in the open. And Valley View, just you got to be able to hit the reset button after last week. Forget about the prep game, and hopefully play a little better at home than they played at Dunmore last week.
This Dallas Wyoming area game, I think, is going to be very interesting. And we're going to talk with Luke Kopetchny, the wide receiver for Wyoming area, in a little bit. But I think Wyoming area has a ton of weapons. They're tough kids. I think they match up well against Dallas.
Yeah, I think this is kind of for bragging rights. I think in that in the Wilkes-Barre area is my guess. These are two of the top two teams coming out of the Wyoming Valley Conference. Big game for both. Whoever wins this is going to get big points towards the playoffs. And I was surprised, I think, mostly last week with how much Wyoming area threw the ball after seeing them. Last year they've had a really good tailback and really been predominantly run game the last couple of years with their tailback that went to Lehigh. And but to throw for the amount of yards and receivers that we'll have on in a second to be able to have that many receptions, that many yards, I think it just adds an added dimension that maybe they haven't had the last couple of years that Dallas is going to have to defend.
And then Lackawanna Trail and Western Wayne. I mean, this is a classic matchup, and this is a game you'd want to see. I think Trail's just so tough, and what Jervis has done, but. Yeah, I think Grodek's got some weapons this year too. Yeah,
this game will be over in an hour. So if you want to get to the game, get there early because both teams are going to run the ball. Obviously Western Wayne has a little more of an ability to throw the ball, but Trail, again, back to what I said before with the wing T. If you don't defend that wing T every week, it's tough. And Steve runs it just as well as anybody on Lackawanna Trail. So. That'll be a really interesting game. And if you like a good high school, old-fashioned football game, that'd be a great one to go watch.
Well, we got Jimmy Terwilliger, the head coach of East Stroudsburg, coming up. We're going to keep moving along here. We'll take a quick break, and Coach Howanitz and I will be back on the Football Blitz Tuesday edition.
The Football Blitz is brought to you by the Maddock Agency. Since 1972, the Maddock Agency has been serving northeastern Pennsylvania for home, auto, and life. The Maddock Agency prides itself on being an independently owned agency. When you need help, you can talk with a staff member who lives and works right here in Northeast PA. The Maddock Agency has stayed true to its local, loyal roots. That's what our company was founded on more than 50 years ago. Call Dave Maddock and his team today. 570-586-3790. Use Savage Chiropractic. Takes pride in always doing a full evaluation on all patients, including x-rays, to evaluate patients to keep them safe and to determine the best care for their specific needs. Then they use modern techniques to get patients better, faster, and keep them feeling great with maintenance care options after they're pain-free. Along with chiropractic care, they are one of the only offices here in Northeast PA that offers both Class 4 cold laser to speed up the healing process and massage therapy and bodywork to aid in muscle repair and rehabilitation. And Northeast Outdoor Services, a locally run and operated company who offers a wide range of services but specializes in all forms of hardscape, concrete work, along with fiberglass pools and spas. Check us out on Facebook or visit our website at northeastoutdoorservices.com. Northeast Outdoor Services.
Welcome back to the Football Blitz as we get ready here to welcome in Coach Jimmy Terwilliger of East Stroudsburg University. The Warriors are going to play in 2 nights. Thursday night. Coach, you're looking great there and ready to go there for ESU.
Man, we're really excited. It's time to play. It feels like, we just blinked and we were through summer camp and, we're here and we open up Thursday night at Edinburgh, Pennsylvania. We couldn't be more excited. I know our players are biting at the bit, and it's a really fun time of year, man. So it's great to see you guys, and we look forward to opening up.
And you guys did not play Edinburgh last year. So let's talk a little bit about, knowing a little bit about them and, what the cycle has been.
I will tell you this. We played some really competitive crossover games in the Pennsylvania Conference. You look at the Pennsylvania East and the Pennsylvania Conference West, just really good teams up and down the list there, John. But Edinburgh is they're no, I guess, mystery to me. I played Edinburgh probably more times than I played most teams in my college career. We met them every year that I played, and then most of the years we played them in the playoffs. So the trip to Erie is kind of familiar for me. I look forward to getting back out there and playing these guys. It'll be a lot of fun. They're a talented team. I know their record last year didn't show it, but man, they returned some really good players. And they're well coached. So I look forward to seeing the 24 season opener.
Coach, I'm going to pivot just a little bit. First of all, I hope you're taking care of Coach Santella.
He takes care of me, man. All right. Listen, you're an offensive line coach. I played for Iron Mike, and he protected me as a player. So he takes care of me. He always has. He always will.
No, you need those guys on your staff. So I'm going to pivot a little bit because we have a lot of kids and their parents that watch the show. So I want you to tell the people out there, because again, we get usually a lot of kids from our area that go to East Stroudsburg, whether it's the Wilkes-Barre or Scranton area. Tell everybody what you look for in a recruit, when you're going on a recruiting trail, and what some of these kids maybe can do or their parents can do to kind of help some kids maybe get recruited to go to East Stroudsburg.
That's a great question. Number one, it's my job to recruit the most top talent tier players from all areas. And, when East Stroudsburg is good, it's usually because the guys from the Wyoming areas, the Scrantons, the Northeast Pennsylvania, and you look at the times when I played here and when we've been really good, it's because those areas have been very fruitful. The things that I look for, guys, is number one, can you get the job done on the field? When I put on your highlight tape, can you do the things that I ask of you? And that's position specific. And going down each position, the character, the flaws, and the things that you look for in every single position. Can you get the job done offensively and defensively by position? Then number two, I want to know what your high school coach says about you. Are you a team captain? That speaks a lot to me. If you're a captain in your high school, that means you got leadership capabilities and you can handle criticism. You can handle the burden of leadership. I like to recruit high school captains. I also look for multiple sport guys, guys that can be able to do multiple things. We don't train, in the off season, a football training program. We train athletes. I'm huge on speed and explosion, so when I look at what we do in 2024 in developing athletes, I'm looking for the most explosive people. And, when that comes into shove, I want to see athleticism. So I love linemen that wrestle. I love skill guys that play basketball or run track and do those things. Shows me that you're competitive, ultra competitive. And then number three, we want great character kids that we can retain. So for East Stroudsburg, I know it's a little bit different in 24 with recruiting cycles and transfer portals. Here's my philosophy on it. We like to recruit homegrown people, love them, retain them, recruit the right people to come here that come for the right reasons, and develop athletes that can be here for 4 and 5 years. And that's why you look at our squad this year, you're going to see a bunch of 4th and 5th year guys that we recruited. In the first 3 years I was the head coach, we did not take one transfer. We wanted to build from the ground up. We wanted to do it the right way. We wanted to develop culture, and guys that do that in their high school, guys that are team captains, guys that play multiple sports, guys that are explosive on and off the field, ultra competitive. Those are really the 3 key factors that I look for in a recruit. And when I look them in the eye, can I feel that they want to be great? When you come on a visit to East Stroudsburg, is there something that tells me man, this cat wants to be elite. He wants to be the greatest of all time. He wants to do things better than they've ever been done. Great example of that. One of my receivers that I played with, Evan Prawl, when you meet Evan, you knew like wherever you threw the ball, he was going to come down with it. That's just the way he is, you know. And
he runs camps with me. He can still catch.
Yeah, so Evan Prawl, when you meet Evan Prawl, you knew like there's no denying a guy like that. And I can go down the list of Tim Strenfels and the guys that we have now, and I go down our roster: Randy Pfizer, John Siggins, Evan Roche. Like these guys, they're elite people, you know, and they just want to be great at it. And I try to do my homework as much as I can with the high school coaches and films, and get to know people. Rather than just what they put on the highlight tape. So that's kind of what I look for in recruiting.
Jimmy, you're doing a great job there recruiting. I was talking to my man, Kenny Kopetchny, today. He couldn't say enough great things about your father. I remember covering you in high school with your head coach, Eddie Christian, God bless him. And, you know, Pacquioni, we talk about all these guys. And now I know you might not be able to comment, but Kenny's son just had a tremendous game. He's a sophomore at Wyoming Area. Luke Kopetchny, like, 250 yards receiving. We're going to be talking to him in the next 5 minutes here, but you know, there's guys doing some stuff, and it's so hard, to George's point, to get into a PSAC school, man. It is ultra competitive right now, but that's a credit to everybody in the PSAC, including what you're doing there at East Stroudsburg. I think it could be a special year there at ESU.
Yeah. John, it's so different now. I look at the caliber of athletes and I ask myself, would I have been given a chance to play in the Pennsylvania Conference? You're coming out of high school, and people forget, I wasn't a very highly recruited athlete coming out of high school. You know, I played for, the coach that I love and rest his soul, Ed Christian, and we ran the veer option. We ran the freeze. I may have thrown the ball 10 times a game, and I'm 5'0", 100. And I look at these guys week to week that we play and the caliber of athletes. I say, wow, this league has really changed. Now, I can't comment because Kopetchny is a sophomore publicly, but I will say the name Kopetchny in East Stroudsburg, that blood runs thick. I mean, he still holds the touchdown record here for 99-plus yards that all of our receivers beg me when we're on the minus yard line to throw the ball. And I said, yeah, there's some records that won't be beat. All right. And that's probably one of them.
Awesome.
Coach, appreciate you having you on. Good luck this week. I'm sure you're getting a lot of work done, so we don't want to hold you up too much.
This is technically a Thursday night for us. This is game plan night. So I told my wife to put everything over for leftovers. I'll be home late. We got to get some things. We're traveling tomorrow. It's what a time to be alive. I'm very blessed to be able to do it with some really good people. We got a great looking squad this year, and I'm really excited to take step one and go week to week with these guys.
Coach, we'd love to try to get you back maybe every couple weeks if that's possible. So, you're just a text and a phone call away, and we appreciate your time. We know you're quite busy, but thank you.
Hey, anytime, guys. Listen, you guys have always been great supporters. I really appreciate you following along with, and, anytime you guys can make it up to the Poconos, please let me know. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Good luck, Coach.
Thank you. All right, we'll be back here on the Football Blitz.
The Football Blitz is brought to you by Alberigi Insurance. Alberigi Insurance Agency proudly services all your insurance needs for over 60 years. Located at 301 Church Street in Jessup. Call us today for a no-obligation quote for home, auto, recreational vehicles, boats, and business insurance. The Alberigi Insurance Agency, 570-489-6348. Tim Wagner's Sports Corner, your spot for all your MLB, NFL, and NCAA clothing and accessory needs. Come see what Tim carries for every Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees and Giants, Philadelphia Phillies, Eagles, Notre Dame, and Syracuse fan, to name a few. Tim Wagner's also specializes in all your screen printing and embroidery needs. If you're on Sanderson Street in Scranton, you'll need to stop and shop at Tim Wagner's Sports Corner. Century Dental Associates. Century Dental is a state-of-the-art dental office with multiple locations here in northeastern Pennsylvania. We use the latest approaches that are less invasive than ever before. We bring compassion to each individual to help take care of your dental needs in a way that is the best for you. Please call one of our offices or visit our website at centurydentalsmiles.com.
All right, we're back here on the Football Blitz as we are going to welcome in Luke Kopetchny, the wide receiver for Wyoming Area. And Luke, just a sophomore. but a huge night to help your team get a victory on Friday on the road in Mountaintop. First up, congratulations on your monster night.
Thank you.
Well, we're just talking to East Stroudsburg football coach Jimmy Terwilliger, talking about your dad and some of those records that he still has there at ESU, and talk about your relationship with your dad and just being, such an incredible athlete, whether it's track and field or basketball or football, you could do it all.
I mean, yeah, he was a good athlete, but he's a very good coach too. I mean, he's our defensive back and wide receiver coach for the varsity team, and I think he's great. I mean, and you could also learn from home. He's a coach at home too, so at practice and at home, he's there for both.
How about your element of toughness? Your dad was a tough guy. I mean, he brought it. Do you feel like you're at that point yet, or that's still coming along there for you?
I don't know. I think he was probably a little tougher than me, but I think I was more skilled though. So.
Oh,
you're showing that skill.
Luke, were you surprised last week with how many catches you had, what you had yardage wise? Because I obviously being a coach at Valley View, I have some resources other people don't. So I got to see a lot of your games last year on Huddle, and a lot of run. Obviously, your tailback off to Lehigh, so Division I tailback. So a lot of run game last year. Now, were you surprised coming into this year, catching so many balls and having so many yards in week 1?
I mean, I'd say kinda. I mean, obviously our identity is to run the ball, but when you can get involved in the passing game, yeah, I was pretty surprised. I mean, we were definitely more dynamic. We may have passed more than we ran, which is definitely, we haven't seen that in maybe a while. So, yeah, it was definitely, I'd say, a surprise.
Was it something that happened, you think, during the game? Like, was it something you felt, with Crestwood's defense usually pretty good, right? Tough up front, tough to run on. Did you think it was going to be like that based on stuff from the week, or this was plan B just based on what they did on Friday night?
I mean, yeah, they were stopping the run during the game, so I feel like we adjusted to more of like a passing scheme during the game. I mean, we obviously wanted to run the ball, but if it works out like that, then it works out like that. So,
Luke, it looked like DeLuca just literally went back and heave-hoed it, and you just went up to get a couple of those balls. Talk about running under them and just being able to make some of those catches up top.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously very important to drive our team downfield, and some great catches put us in some spots to score. I mean, if it wasn't me, then it was our running back Tristan Johnson too. He punched in too. So yeah, I mean, just getting our team in better position.
Tell everybody a little bit about, from what I'm reading, it came down to the last drive, right? I think Crestwood tied you guys with about 5 minutes left, or a little under 5, and you had a nice game-winning drive. Just tell everybody about the drive a little bit.
Yeah, we started off by running a little bit, and then we threw, a fade to me. I caught it down maybe near the 20, and then, I think we just ran in the ball from there. It was Trustin. He ran in for a touchdown, put us up by a touchdown. So, yeah, that was the winning drive.
Luke, you're still a sophomore, being able to handle some of this stuff. You're a guy that in track and field, I think it was, talking to your dad, it was at the District 2 championships, your last jump was your furthest jump, things like that. So you're kind of a gamer, much like your dad was. So talk about, being able to handle the attention this week. And now it's Dallas coming to your place, and it's going to be an all-out war.
I mean, yeah, you can't fold under pressure. So, I mean, in track, and at districts, actually, I didn't jump too well until my last jump to get second. I mean, it's just overcoming adversity, and, we got to be good against Dallas this week.
How about practice this week? Did you change anything up? Because now you're the guy, right? Everybody knows who you are now. Coach has had your face probably in everybody's locker all week, that you're somebody, they have to stop. And did you change anything up this week? Maybe to, whether it's a technique, getting off of press coverage or anything like that, knowing you're probably the marked guy now for this Friday.
I mean, not really, but obviously we're preparing for more of a man look this week because, they saw what they saw on film last week. They were running more of a zone, so they could stack a guy on top of me. So it depends. You got to be ready for man or zone.
And Luke, you're not the only weapon there. I was talking to your dad. He's like, listen, we got this other receiver. He's only good. That kid could have a great game as well. And there's other weapons on this squad. Talk about that ability for you guys. Hey, if it's not somebody's night or something happens, that you guys have a running back, a tight end, a wide receiver, DeLuca. You have different guys to go to.
Yeah, I mean, if they could stop our passing attack, we have Lodge Kellum and Trustin Johnson to run the ball. I mean, they're probably more prepared for a passing look this week. So if we can go back to our identity and running the ball, I mean, it could be a huge advantage, especially if we could also pass in this game too.
How about this game coming into the season? Do you have this game circled? Like, is this one of the games that you're, when you look at your schedule, you're playing Dallas, and obviously your two of the best programs in the Wyoming Valley Conference, a lot of history, a lot of good, recent history as well. So is this one you're, a little extra special this week in week 2?
Yeah, this is definitely a huge game. I mean, I think our first 3 games are huge games, even though one passed. I mean, after this week, we got Western Wayne, who's a very good team also. So these 3 weeks are very important for us.
Luke, staying healthy, talk about that. I mean, you're doing 3 sports and you're 100% in all of them. Is there any rest, or you're just one of those guys like your dad? Again, I keep bringing him up because him and I just competed against each other, that you just have a motor that you have to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, you're competing all day, you're doing all these sports, so you just got to stay healthy, take care of your injuries, whatever you have. And, also it's part of being tough too. If you're banged up a little bit, work through it.
Well, congratulations, Luke. Coach, he's a sophomore. He's got a great upside to him.
Keep plugging, buddy. Keep it going, right?
Thank you.
I was saying to John before, I mean, this is the first year in a while, I think a lot of the teams like yourself, these first 4 weeks are so important because you could be a 0-4 team going into the last 6, or 4-0 and pretty much have the the whole league and the district playoffs kind of at your fingertips and where you run the show. So we wish you the best of luck moving forward.
Thank you so much.
All right, Luke, keep working hard. All the best.
Thank you.
All right, Luke Kopetchny, a sophomore, over 250 yards this past week. We'll take a break and we'll wrap it up here on the Football Blitz here in a special Tuesday edition.
The Football Blitz is brought to you by Locals Only Project. Locals Only Project's an apparel company based right here in our backyard. Their mission is to keep Main Street alive and support mom and pop shops across NEPA. They're slinging some great hometown gear like hats, hoodies, and tees. Check them out at localsonlyproject.com. Guys Barbershop. Hey, sports fans, are you ready for game day? Look sharp with the fresh cut from Guys Barbershop. With 2 locations in Scranton and Oliphant, we specialize in styles that score big. Whether you need a classic trim or a modern look, our skilled barbers have you covered. Join the winning team, Guys Barbershop, where every haircut is a touchdown. Visit us today and show your team spirit. Tasty Freeze and Mini Golf, located on the Scranton-Carbondale Highway in Einan. Open 7 days a week, offering a variety of ice cream, including 25 flavors of Manning's Dairy Farm. Make every day an ice cream day. Enjoy family fun at our 18-hole miniature golf course located behind our store, or relax in our spacious dining room. Tasty Freeze is a great location for children's birthday parties. Visit our Facebook page at Tasty Freeze Treats or stop by.
All right, we're back here at the Football Blitz special Tuesday edition here. And Coach, I'll tell you what, it's refreshing when you talk to a young man like a Luke Kopetchny. He's humble. What a tremendous athlete he is to do 3 sports. And, the basketball team was fantastic. He's incredible in track. And then he is going to have a breakout year in football. And, East Stroudsburg or beyond for him could be a destination. I mean, he's 6'2", $170. He's got a couple more inches on the pops.
Yeah, it's interesting to see when some of these kids as sophomores, what kind of, what kind of fingerprint they can put on a game, take a game over. You don't see that a lot, but obviously kids like him are very special. And coming from a program like Wyoming Area where they have athlete after athlete after athlete, I think that's saying even more about him. I was thinking too, when Coach Terwilliger, he was saying about the PSAC, I don't think people understand how great Division II, like PSAC football is. They got kids drafted every year now, some kids playing in the pros. And I remember, you always get somebody that's like, oh, they could be I don't mean this in a mean way, but they could be an average football player. And they're like, oh, I'm going to go play in the PSAC. And it just isn't set up that way anymore. I mean, they're getting Division I caliber kind of kids, and it's showing on Saturdays and how well they do in the playoffs and all that come around with how great of a football and every sport really in the PSAC is that way.
One of the things that, we'll get to talking to Jimmy Terwilliger again, but I think his best friend is his father. His father's been there forever under Denny Dowds, and it's got to be an incredible setup to work with your dad. He's the offensive guy. You're working with him. You're there every day with him. That's got to be a dream come true.
Yeah, the two of them are really legends. I mean, player coaching, like all, Jimmy, I think sold himself short a little bit there. I mean, he was legit, PSAC, East Stroudsburg, like throwing for a zillion yards, right? I mean, he's legit. Like he didn't, he doesn't say that when he does it, but these guys have these great offensive minds. Him as a former quarterback and his dad being around and all that, and it's makes for really good football, and he's been great since he's been there.
Some of the schools are back. They're back in class. Then there's a couple that still aren't. Friday night we'll have another game, but there could potentially be 2 games where you had no school and you could get a little extra practice, relax a little bit, sleep a little longer. I mean, advantage, would you say, like a Wilkes-Barre area, they're not going back till after Labor Day. Would you say that could be a little bit of an advantage, or is that structure and consistency important?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a structure guy, and I could just tell you this from coaching at Valley View. Like we would, for whatever reason, there was years when Fridays we would have half days, and I would always tell our kids try to do the same exact thing you would do at school. So if you got out of school at 11, I would tell we'd have team. They'd have team meals. They go to a restaurant. They'd all eat together at noon to try to keep. Because to me, if they went home at 11 o'clock and slept till 3 o'clock, it just throws the body all out of whack. So. To me, as long as it's been the same, and there's been, you don't want to be going back to school on Friday, I think, and playing a game on Friday. So whether you're, Wilkes-Barre where they've been off, I think they'll keep everything the same. Or like Valley View on Friday, we go back to school on Thursday. So at least they'll have a day under their belt to kind of 2 days really under their belt to get ready for Friday. So I think as long as you can keep the schedule somewhat the same, I think you're good. It's when you throw a monkey wrench in the schedule that a lot of kids struggle.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot, and I'm going to put myself on the spot here. The one game we went over, 6, 7, 8 games. One game that you're thinking, man, it could go the other way. People are going to think it's going to go this way.
I got to think here. I'm looking at some of the games I have highlighted here.
I'm going to give Wyoming area a shot against Dallas that I think they could make it very difficult, and I might give a little edge there to Wyoming area at home against Dallas. That could be tough, but Dallas, Rich Mendola is going to tell those guys that it stops here. We just gave up a game to Jersey Shore that we could have won. He's going to come in super serious.
Yeah, I mean, he'll have them ready. I'm going to say, I think if Western Wayne plays a good game, I think Western Wayne could be the upset against Trail. Now, I don't know how many people would think it's an upset, but Trail's ranked pretty high in the state, but I think that's a game where Western Wayne's kids are super physical, tough, very well coached. And like I said, they have a little bit of a swagger the last 5 or 6 years. So does Trail for that matter. But the physicality to me, a lot of times, they really surprise you. Even years they played us, I've been always surprised with how physical they've been. And I think that could be one of the upset specials for the week.
All right. So we'll be back Friday night, 10 o'clock. In between now and then, a little bit of chatter going on, that's for sure. And George, we appreciate you, getting together, talking a little football here on a Tuesday. And we'll do this from time to time when our schedules kind of work out in the middle of the week. But great to see Jimmy Terwilliger, Luke Kopetchny. Appreciate those guys. And we'll see you Friday night, Coach.
Thanks, John. Good job.
Have a great night, everybody.